Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You guys always ask me to spill the tea on how to know if a guy likes you. Because let's be honest, guys can be clueless. We're talking about missing the mark by a mile clueless. So ladies, if you're tired of deciphering mixed signals, buckle up. Because today I'm giving you a crash course in guys' secret crush signals hilarious stories. So get ready to laugh, cringe, and maybe even learn a thing or two about the hilarious ways guys try to win you over. And hey, if you've got your own funny story, drop it in the comments below. Let me take you back to when my friends and I were teenage walking disasters, navigating the wild world of crushes. Here's the thing about guys. When we like someone, we think we're smooth. But really, we're about as subtle as a giraffe trying to sneak through a drive-thru. Seriously, we try to play it cool, but our brains are like, abort mission, engage awkwardness protocol. We convince ourselves that we need some elaborate plan, some foolproof cool guy strategy to win your heart. And the funniest part is we think we're being all slick and mysterious, but in reality, we're sending out more mixed signals than a broken traffic light. One time, my buddy Carl was so obvious it hurt. You know that feeling when someone is trying way too hard to impress someone? Yeah, that was Carl. Carl had this massive crush on this girl, Ashley. She was smart, funny, and had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. Naturally, Carl decided the best way to win her over was to become her twin? Yeah, you heard that right. Okay, maybe not her twin, but his grand plan was to mirror everything she did. If she laughed, he laughed. If she picked up a book, he picked up the same book. He was convinced that if he copied her every move, it would create this magical connection, like they were two peas in a pod. He thought it would make her see how much they had in common. It was like watching a human mirror routine, only without the grace or the sequins. Carl was clumsy at best, and it was painfully obvious to everyone but him. It reached peak comedy when Ashley sneezed in the middle of history class. It was one of those loud, unexpected sneezes that catches everyone off guard. Now, I don't know what possessed Carl, but for reasons unknown to this day, he faked a sneeze right after her. It was so exaggerated that it sounded like a cartoon character. The teacher stopped mid-lecture and said, "Carl, are you okay?" The whole class turned to look at him, and you could see the wheels turning in Carl's head as he tried to come up with an explanation. Ashley turned around and gave him this confused look like, "Do we have matching allergies?" It was the most awkward moment ever. The lesson here: if you notice a guy copying your mannerisms, leaning in when you lean in, using your phrases, or even eating the same snack, you've caught him red-handed. It's a classic case of the copycat crusher. So next time you see someone mirroring your every move, just know they might be trying to tell you something in the most awkward way possible. Now let's talk about Joey. Joey was the comedian of our group. He was the kind of guy who could make a rock laugh. His jokes were legendary, and his timing was impeccable. But whenever his crush, Sarah, walked in, he'd transform. It was like watching a magician lose his wand. One time we were all at this party, and Joey was in his element. He was telling this wild story about how he once got chased by a goose at the park, which, side note, was his fault because he tried to steal its bread. Everyone was in stitches, tears rolling down their faces from laughing so hard. But then, you guessed it, Sarah walks in. The second Joey sees her, he freezes mid-sentence. It was like someone hit the pause button on him. Sarah comes over, smiles, and says, "Hey Joey, why are you so quiet tonight?" And this guy goes, "Oh, you know, just reflecting on the complexities of life." We all knew what was really going on. Joey, the life of the party, was suddenly shy and reserved. It was like watching a lion turn into a kitten. Here's the thing, if a guy who's normally loud and goofy suddenly acts reserved when you're around, it's not because he found inner peace, it's because he's smitten head over heels and doesn't want to mess up. Joey was a classic case of this. His personality didn't vanish, it just went into hiding whenever Sarah was near. So the next time you see someone acting out of character, remember Joey. Sometimes the heart has a funny way of making us act differently. Chapter 4. The Detailed Detective. And then there's Mike. Mike was a bit of an enigma, a guy who seemed to have a mental Rolodex of every tiny detail about his crush, Emily. He was the king of remembering random details about his crush, Emily. While most people struggled to recall what they had for breakfast, Mike could tell you the exact shade of Emily's favorite nail polish. Most guys couldn't tell you their own locker combination, but Mike, he could recite Emily's class schedule down to the minute without breaking a sweat. He could tell you Emily's Starbucks order, favorite candle scent, and which Harry Potter house she thought her dog would be in. Hufflepuff for the record. He even knew her go-to karaoke song and the exact way she liked her coffee, 2 pumps of vanilla, no foam. One time, Emily casually mentioned she loved oatmeal raisin cookies. It was just a passing comment, something she said while they were talking about their favorite snacks. The next day, he shows up with a big box of cookies, proud as a peacock. He'd gone out of his way to find the best oatmeal raisin cookies in town, just to make her smile. Emily opens it and says, "Oh, these are chocolate chip." She looked a bit puzzled, but appreciative of the gesture nonetheless. "I'm more of an oatmeal raisin girl." She said it with a friendly smile, trying not to hurt his feelings. You could see Mike's soul leave his body. His face went blank, and for a moment it looked like he was staring into the abyss. Instead of admitting the mix-up, he panics and says, "Oh no, these are, hybrid cookies." He stammered, trying to salvage the situation. "Chocolate chip and oatmeal raisin, they just look different." He tried to explain, hoping she would buy his impromptu excuse. The takeaway: if a guy remembers the little things about you, your favorite snack, your dog's name, or even that one time you mentioned loving sunsets, he's into you. It's the small details that show he's paying attention, that he cares enough to remember the little things that make you, you. The Jealousy Juggler. Let me tell you about Steve, who had a crush on Amanda and the emotional control of a wet paper towel. Every time Amanda mentioned another guy, Steve would turn into a jealous wreck, but in the most awkward way possible. One day, Amanda was talking about this guy she worked with, Kyle, who played guitar. Steve, who could barely strum Happy Birthday, goes, "Puffed! Guitar is so overrated. You know what's cooler? Drums." Listen, guys are not the best at playing it cool when they're feeling threatened. Chapter 6, The Body Language Betrayal. Now let's dive into body language, because guys are terrible at controlling it. My friend Dave was a walking body language meme. Every time his crush, Laura, walked into the room, Dave's posture would change so fast you'd think the principal just showed up. One time during lunch, Laura asked Dave for the salt. Instead of just handing it to her like a normal human, Dave fumbled it so badly that the salt shaker flew across the table and shattered on the floor. If a guy's posture changes around you, if he fidgets, sits straighter, or starts fixing his shirt every 2 seconds, it's because you've activated his must-impress mode. Chapter 7, The Master of Coincidence. And finally we have Alex, the king of coincidental appearances. If Alex liked you, he'd somehow show up everywhere you went. If you joined the school choir, Alex would be in the front row like, "I just love a cappella." If you mentioned loving iced coffee, Alex would suddenly become a Starbucks VIP. One time, his crush, Jenna, mentioned she was into farmers markets. Alex, who thought kale was a type of bird, showed up at the market holding a basket of vegetables like he was auditioning for a Whole Foods commercial. If a guy suddenly coincidentally pops up at places you frequent, he's not stalking you. He's just bad at being subtle. Outro, guys, hilariously obvious. So there you have it, folks, the hilarious and sometimes cringeworthy truth about how guys act when they like you. We may not always say it, but trust me, our actions speak volumes. From awkward mirroring to sudden personality changes, we're a walking, talking encyclopedia of crush signals. So the next time you see a guy acting like a total goofball, pay attention. He might just be trying to win your heart. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for more hilarious stories, and remember, when it comes to love, guys are a lot more obvious than we think. Don't forget to like and tell me what you think of this video. Feel free to recommend topics you'd love me to cover next. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to Love Code and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on more love wisdom. We're here because we care about you and we want to help you avoid the mistakes others regret. See you next time.